XFL Fancast. Woo! Yeah. XFL Fancast, y'all. Oh, you know I ain't gonna make you wait. XFL Fancast. Let's get on with the show. XFL Fancast. Now. Hey, it's another edition of the XFL Fancast with your host, me. It's Seven Morgan. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. This is the show that I know I was waiting to do. This is the show I've been waiting for. I think there's nothing better I could do than to kick off the topic of the show and exactly what and who and how and why we're talking about with a little song. This song. This kid is He's a playmaker. Yeah. No. Come on. All he does is win. What? What? All he does is unleash. Come on. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to church Sunday. Run past option. I think that's my game. Run past option. That is my game. Yeah. He's a yeah. Unleash. Ha. Oh, Hulk Hogan. Doesn't win. All he does is win. Yeah. All he does is win. Woo! Tim Tebow. Guys, the man, the myth, the legend, Timothy Tebow. That's what we're talking about today on the XFL Fancast / alternative football talk. Alternative football? Yeah. Alternative football. Other football leagues besides the National Football League. The National Floundering League. Now the NFL is just it's a little tired. I mean, it's a little long in the tooth. But you know who's not long in the tooth? Tim Tebow. He's only, 30? Oh, man, still in his prime. Ready. I mean, that was like the biggest years of Michael Vick. Run, pass, option. That is his game. So Tim Tebow. We're just going to talk about, the possibility of Tim Tebow playing in the XFL. Coming back to play in the XFL. This is something I'm a huge proponent of. Is it going to happen? I mean, we can only hope, So let's talk about Tim Tebow and your host's relationship to the man. Number one, Tim Tebow is an exciting guy to root for and to watch, and you want him in the XFL. I mean, basically the XFL will succeed if Tim Tebow is a quarterback, because it is must-see TV. If you thought Friends in the 90s was must-see, Tim Tebow in the XFL would be unbelievable to watch. The thing is, here's the thing. I'm a Bronco fan. I grew up a Bronco fan. Would love to be a fan of whatever XFL team. But traditionally been a Bronco fan because I spent most of my life in Denver. This has been covered in other XFL Fancast, and I would please encourage you to go to the catalog and listen to old episodes. But here's the thing about Timothy Tebow. Let's talk about him. So he was drafted by Josh McDaniels, in the maybe 21st pick, somewhere around there, in the draft, in maybe 2010. That sounds right. I'm doing this all by memory. I did a little research, not a ton of research for this podcast. Because I don't need a lot of research because I know Tim Tebow because I watched every one of his every one of his prime time NFL games. So he was drafted by the Broncos. The Broncos had this quarterback named Kyle Orton at the time. Kyle Orton is a bum of the highest order. I mean, Kyle Orton is the bum of bums. I mean, the man throws ducks. Like, he lets the football go, and the football starts quacking as it flies through the air. Throwing ducks, wounded animals. Basically, Kyle Orton can throw darts. If it's under 10 yards, I mean, he is throwing darts. But man can't throw it more than 10 yards. If you want him to throw a 7-yard bubble screen, nobody better than Kyle Orton at the 7-yard bubble screen. But, you need more than a bubble screen to survive in the NFL. So Tim Tebow, basically, the Broncos were really not succeeding, didn't have a great year at the, in Tim Tebow's rookie year. They were having a bad year, and then at the end, Kyle Orton was terrible. And at the end, they fired. Well, this is maybe the second year of Tim Tebow. Maybe it was his sophomore year. But what happened was the Broncos were not doing well. They fired the coach, Josh McDaniels, and they had this other coach take over named Eric Studesville that was the running backs coach, and he took over. And they unleashed Tim Tebow, just like that song said, he was unleashed. And that was his sophomore year, at the end of the year with Eric Studesville. That was when we actually got to see the real Tim Tebow. This may even be his rookie year. I don't really remember. I think it was a sophomore year. But under Eric Studesville, we got to still see the real Tim Tebow. Because, Studesville just, let him play. This is actually when, they let Tim Tebow actually run, throw the ball. And he was putting up good games. He's throwing for 300 yards. He's running for 50 yards. He's putting up 2 or 3 touchdowns. He was that year in fantasy football one of the best players. One of the best ads at the end of the year was Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, if you get him involved in the game, he can throw. If you put a ton of pressure on him and want him to throw a very precision offense, he can't do it. But when they unleashed him, he did really well. This has happened under Eric Studesville in 2010, 2011 maybe. So then next year the Broncos hired John Fox. He took over, and John Fox is he plays old-fashioned football, good defense, run the ball, throw it. And the Broncos reluctantly put Tebow in. They didn't really want to put him in, but they put him in because he actually performed well at the end of the year because Studesville put him in. And, they really did put the reins on Tim Tebow, and they put a lot of pressure on him. They wanted him to be precision, and it wasn't that great. But what they did do is they unleashed the option. Tim Tebow revolutionized the NFL. This never gets talked about, and it drives me nuts. But we see, the run option all the time in the NFL now. Cam Newton does it. What's his face? Colin Kaepernick does it. But all of this is because of Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow proved it worked. Everyone said it couldn't work in the NFL, that you can't win games that way. Tim Tebow proved you can. He was... basically, you knew what Tim Tebow was going to do. He wasn't going to throw. They were going to run an option with Tim Tebow, and that's all they were going to do. And they still couldn't stop it. Tim Tebow he won a bunch of games, a bunch of miracle games. Honestly, you would believe in a higher power. You watch some of these games that I watched. What would happen in these games is Tim Tebow would struggle basically the entire game because there was so much pressure on him. He can't really take the precision pressure. He's a free range artist, and so and Tim Tebow would throw some of the worst passes you'll ever see in your entire life. some of the worst, ugliest passes, and then the Broncos would struggle through a game. And then at the end, they would be behind a little. And then they're like, okay, we're behind, unleash the Tebow. And then he would focus in. He's a gamer. And then all of a sudden, he's completely unleashed and uninhibited. And he's throwing amazing just darts over the field, amazing passes, making amazing runs. And the Broncos won miraculous games. This game in Miami they won was a miracle. Game against the Jets, game against the Bears. Just things happened. People are fumbling. People are making catches that they shouldn't have made. People are stepping out of bounds when they shouldn't have stepped out of bounds. Just everything was working. And there was this genuine feeling that there was something supernatural happening in Denver at the time. I mean, you should have listened to this guy named Champ Bailey, who was a Hall of Fame cornerback. He at the end of games, he just really couldn't believe what he saw because it was this magic of Tebow. And there was an aura. It was just so much fun. You really can't describe it. And the man has this almost supernatural aura about him. And I was in the stadium a few times. I went to 2 Tim Tebow games, and it really felt like it turned cynical jerk dudes that sat next to me that were griping and complaining like a little whiny bee. Okay, we don't curse on this podcast, but you know what the word would be. They would be a little crybaby, cynical, whiny guy. I'm complaining. But by the end of the game, I saw Tim Tebow turn that hardened heart into a little 5-year-old that believed anything could happen. That's what Tim Tebow can do. And then he never. And then the Broncos won in a miracle game. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers with the best play I ever saw, with the pass to Demaryius Thomas over the middle. He runs it in overtime for the touchdown. One of the most amazing plays that you can possibly freaking witness. You know what? I'm going to pause the podcast for just a second, and we're going to listen to that play because it is sick.
And here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiffer got him free to the 30.
Whoa.
To the 20. Thomas to the 10.
Touchdown! Woo!
The first play of overtime.
Yeah. Elway goes crazy. And then, whoa. Here we go. Everyone's going crazy. It's pandemonium. Hines Ward is about to commit suicide. He's so disappointed. Oh my gosh. Good Lord. Tebow is Tebowing right now. He's on the ground, down on one knee, doing the Tebow. And that's how it went. Man, that was magic. Golly, that's how you turn a grown man into a kid, believe anything could happen. And I think that's what the XFL and the football league needs. It's just there was just this unpredictable nature of Tebow. He gives you all this information, you think he can't possibly do anything amazing. But really, if he got into the flow and he got confidence, Tebow just had a magic about him. And it really was all it does is win. Look, Tebow won a game against the Kansas City Chiefs where he literally completed 2 passes. He was 2 for 15, and one of them was a 70-yard bomb or a 60-yard bomb, and 2 completed passes. And then I remember there was all these stats where they're trying to find the last time someone won with 2 completed passes, and they went back to the 1940s. It was one of the craziest things ever. And and Tebow's got, he's got kind of this, he's got a natural charisma about him. There's some about him, he's, so he'd just be an all-time ambassador and an amazing guy for the XFL, and there'd be so much interest, he'd be a huge star, and then he could be a star again, right? He's playing baseball now, but, I don't think baseball is going to work out for him. Let's see, right now he's playing, as of 2018, he's on the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Tebow's hitting 242, 4 home runs. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, look, he still has the magic in baseball. There's been like multiple times, like 3 or 4 times, where it's like it'll be his first at bat in like a major thing, like first at bat, and he hits a home run. It was like his first at bat in single A ball, home run. First at bat in like spring training for the Mets, home run. You know, the guy just steps up in big points and makes miracles happen. You know, so he's 30 years old right now. He'll be 31 or 32 by the time the XFL comes around. It's perfect. It's just this unpredictable nature that just makes it compelling. You can't not stop watching. So, number one, Tim Tebow got a raw deal from the NFL. There was too much pressure, he had too much controversy, and no one was willing to just kind of like let him loose, like unleash, as the man said in the song. It's a shame he never really like got a chance. And the truth is, he's not a good practice quarterback. He just has this uncanny, like, supernatural ability to make things happen in big spots, and he's a lot of fun. And if the XFL had Tim Tebow, like, I would, number one, watch every game, every minute of it, and I wouldn't be the only one. It would be a surefire, like, recipe for success. So if the XFL or even the AFL, they bring Tim Tebow in, it's a winner. Like, you can't not watch. Tim Tebow can, reignite, like, some magic. It would be just, it would be amazing. Like, I mean, trust me, you want to see this. Anyone... he's the only guy that made me as a grown man like feel like a little kid and feel like anything's possible, and that's a great feeling. And I know he'd do it again. So we need to bring Tebow in. We need to bring him in. Let's bring Tebow in, y'all. Tim Tebow to the XFL is a slam dunk idea. I hope he listens to this podcast. Tim, if you ever do listen to it, I want you to know, you just made me and lots of people that followed you believe that anything can happen, that miracles can happen. He's even done it in baseball. He would do it again in another chance in football. They just need he needs like specialty coaching and just someone to believe. If someone believed, Tim Tebow would pay that off, maybe in not always beautiful precision passes, but in crucial precision passes in big spots. And actually, if you get him in the flow, he's good overall. He needs more of like a Sandlot system, but why not? Why can't we have that? So that is my take on Tim Tebow. I hope y'all had a good time listening to me talk a little bit about Tebow. We went down memory lane a little bit, and that was pretty fun, wasn't it? That was pretty fun, I say that was pretty freaking fun. And everybody. Whoa! What'd you say? Oh, come on! Tell me. Oh, yeah. Come on, Skip. Come on, Skip. He shattered the mold. All it does is unleash. Come on. Turn him loose. Ooh. Yeah. It's time. Yeah. All right. That is his game. All right, everybody. This is Seven Morgan, and we're signing off. Y'all have a good day. Peace. He's a playmaker. He's a playmaker. Let him go.
That was another edition of the XFL Fancast with your host, Seven Morgan. Please reach out to us, communicate with us via Twitter at XFL Fancast, at XFL Fancast on Twitter, via email, xflfancast@gmail.com, xflfancast@gmail.com, and please rate and subscribe. Thank you once again for listening to the XFL Fancast.